Hey, Cancer rising. You're a moon rising sign. The moon is your planetary ruler, it's the lord of your chart. So, lunar cycles are always going to be significant for you as a Cancer rising. You're a cardinal water yin rising sign. I practice Hellenistic Western tropical astrology. If you're a return viewer and supporter of the Cosmic 101 YouTube channel, welcome. And to all newcomers, welcome to you also. It's an interesting month. We've got our second eclipse happening, and we also have a full moon in that fiery cardinal yang sign of Aries. Let's get into your month. Cancer rising, Neptune and Saturn still continue their retrograde in Pisces for you, your ninth house. Saturn goes direct next month on November 15, and then the following month, Neptune goes direct on December 7. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus, your 11th house, and then goes direct on January 30 of 2025. On the 9th of October, we have Jupiter, which has been transiting direct in Gemini. This is your 12th house, now goes into a retrograde until February 4, 2025. And on the 11th of October, Pluto, which has been retrograding in Capricorn, your 7th house, now stations to turn direct. On the 2nd of October, you're having a new moon solar eclipse in your 4th house. It squares your 1st house, it squares your 7th house, and it opposes your 10th house. So this lunar eclipse event is triggering all of those angular houses for you as a Cancer rising. So the new moon solar eclipse is happening in the subterranean part of your natal chart. And this is your heritage, your ancestry, your lineage, the family you were born into, if you will, not a free will. It's just you incarnated into this environment. And it happens to be Libra. It's a cardinal air yang sign. It's very inclusive. It's very social. It's fair and balanced. It can always begin new cycles very frequently, like lots of changes all the time, refreshes, and it's all about unity and harmony, fairness, equality, bringing in balance. And with the 4th house topics, when you have a new moon connected to that 4th house, that squares your 1st house, squares your 7th house, opposes your 10th house. This is significant, Cancer rising. It's nothing to sneeze at, quite simply because these angular houses are very important to your rising sign. So the moon, which rules you, that 1st house of the body, your image, how people see and know you, your psychology, it's the self. The 1st house is the self. So you're very lunar. You're ruled by the moon. Squaring off in that 4th house where this new beginning is happening. I wonder for you, Cancer rising, if you are prepared to settle into being part of the group, not so distant. Start connecting or reconnecting with your roots, your family, parents, subjects of parenting, real estate and property concerns and matters that are near and dear to your heart. Possibly considering if the environment that you're currently situated in is organic to you anymore. This may be the beginning of the end in establishing new roots and a new home for yourself in the not so distant future. These are real possibilities that could be occurring for you on the 2nd of October. It is an eclipse, and eclipses have an ethereal, mystical, potentially unpredictable outcome. Whatever the intention, whatever occurs on this day whether you're proactively taking part in change in those fourth house topics, or people connected to you in the family dynamic or home environment. They may be going through significant new changes. Expect things to flux, change, and redirect, recalibrate along the way. There may be moments of readjustment and potentially false starts. On the 17th of October, we have a full moon in Aries, and this is your 10th house, that angular place. Your ruler now in the 10th house in full bloom, squaring your first house, squaring your 7th house, and opposing your 4th house. For you, Cancer rising, the only thing I can say to you astrologically is Aries is very expressive. It takes action quickly. It can look before it leaps and can be very bold and brave and be autonomous. So when you have that full moon on the 17th of October, what begins or changes on the 2nd may now come into full view, and you may be readjusting or adapting to those new beginnings. Now, the full moon being your ruler, squaring the first house, there could be a moment of checking in with how you are significantly projecting an image publicly that feels vulnerable. You do not want to come off as wishy-washy or aggressive. You want to develop new strategies and tactics in expressing emotions on the heart in a very deliberate, controlled way. Because that 10th house is very public. It's a house that's to do with how people see you on the public stage with your career and your profession. So if there is something you'd like to herald or trumpet from the heart, do it tactfully. You want to come off looking like gold and someone that's in control instead of out of control. Heads up there for you, Cancer rising. So let's talk about the sun now. It's the other luminary. The first luminary is the moon, and then the second is the sun. So there's two luminaries in our solar system. The sun is transiting in Libra in its full position, your 4th house. So when you have that sun transiting in that subterranean part, the sun is illuminating, lighting up, putting the heat on, if you will, connected to the 4th house topics, which we've been discussing. On the 13th, we see that sun trine retrograde Jupiter in your 12th house. So there could be a readjustment to the way things have always been in that family dynamic that has been concealed, that has been old, archaic, been going on for a very long time. There may be a moment, if you will, on checking in if everything's running just so, or potentially you, Cancer rising, may be trying to step out of the light and be more insular and take a break from all the busyness of the 4th house topics. On the 14th, we see the sun square off with Mars in your 1st house. A sun-Mars square is all about peacocking, who's the strongest. So this will be an interesting day for you, Cancer rising. Quite simply, this is, I don't want to play, I don't want to be pushed around, and I will not be subdued, and I won't be controlled in regards to establishing firm boundaries and drawing hard lines in the sand between yourself and how the 4th house of family, home, real estate, ancestry, real estate and property topics are grating on you. So a very dynamic day coming up on the 14th of October. Then on the 22nd, the sun ingresses into the sign of Scorpio. And this is your fifth house until November 21st. So for 4 weeks, the sun transiting in Scorpio, your fifth house of joy and pleasure, in the sign of that fixed yin water Scorpio zodiac sign. This will be an interesting transit for you because Mars is the ancient planetary ruler of the zodiac sign of Scorpio. And we have Mars transiting in your first house, and you have a trine from your first house to your fifth house when the sun is transiting here from the 22nd to November 21st. So what you could be experiencing, Cancer rising, is an uptick, if you will, in connecting with romantic partners, dating, having more fun regarding children, expressing your interest in potentially having children. This is the house of investments, gambling. It's the house of sports and athletics. It's also the house of fame. It's the house where we get our adrenaline pumping. So the sun transiting here for 4 weeks in that fixed watery yin sign of Scorpio will have you fixated, if you will, on going to the depths and really integrating with dating, investing, children, creativity, sports, wanting to put your name on the public stage, be involved with more public speaking or expressing yourself, for example. A wonderful, empowering transit for you, Cancer rising, from the 22nd of October to November 21st. Enjoy the sun in the house of joy and pleasure. Planet Mercury, well, it's been transiting in Libra, your fourth house, and continues so, opening up the month of October. On the 6th of October, Mercury squares Mars in your first house. Mercury is wanting action, it needs communication, it needs to talk, it needs paperwork done, it needs to be able to travel. So you could hit a snag on this day with those topics from your fourth house to your first house that have you hyper vigilant, that there's some sort of acute action or a conversation that needs to be had on the 6th of October. On the 8th, we see Mercury trine Jupiter in its detriment sign of Gemini, your 12th house. So only the day before Jupiter goes into a retrograde, Mercury's trining Jupiter, which is direct from your 4th to your 12th house. A Mercury-Jupiter trine. Well, Mercury is the ruling planet of the sign of Gemini and Virgo. And we've got what's called a mutual reception here. We've got Mercury trining Jupiter, which is transiting in Mercury sign. So what's good about this? Mercurial subjects that have been withheld or going on out of the public eye, things that are behind closed curtains. Mercury is encouraging Jupiter to bring out information that has been withheld, bring out more order and structure regarding the 12th house topics of things that have been a bit clandestine, hidden, secretive. We want to encourage Jupiter, before he goes into a retrograde, to be certain about the 12th house topics of what we're going to do behind the scenes between now and the 4th of February 2025. A great day to check in. What needs readjusting? What systems are in place for smooth sailing with your 4th house topics and the 12th house of the unseen? On the 13th, Mercury then ingresses into your 5th house, Scorpio, till November 2nd. Mercury in Scorpio is having Sherlock vibes here. You've got your detective lenses on. You aren't missing a beat when it comes to the fifth house topics of joy and pleasure with dating, investments, children, gambling, sports, athletics, fame, creative projects, the house of adrenaline. Mercury wants all the information, all the options. Let's talk, let's discuss, let's see who's who in the zoo. The more information, the better. The more movement, the better. The more communication, the better. The more paperwork, the better. Mercury loves it. And in Scorpio, we're going deep. We are taking the time to really look at those fifth house topics with a forensic lens. On the 30th, Mercury opposes retrograde Uranus in your 11th house. Mercury's opposed to Uranus not being as outgoing, connected to your friends, your groups, your allies, your goals. It's like, oh, hurry up, Uranus. I need you to be more bold. I need you to take steps forward, break out of a rut. So you could be trying to encourage ambassadors, people that help you professionally, friends, groups. You want things to change, but for some reason there's a holding pattern going on. And Mercury wants answers. It wants communication. And this day can be a complete no, very frustrating. On the 30th, only the day before Halloween. Happy Halloween if you celebrate it. On the 31st, Mercury then trines retrograde Neptune in Pisces, your ninth house. Fabulous. Mercury and Neptune retrograde in a trine. Scorpio and Pisces are water signs. They have an affinity with one another of feeling out through intuition. They can operate in the dark. All they need to do is close their eyes and trust in the environment. Does it feel good or doesn't it? So what you could be experiencing here, Cancer rising, is a sense of expansion and growth. It could be media, publishing, international travel connected with dating, investments, children, joy, pleasure. If you want to book the trip, this is the day to do it on the 31st of October. Not a bad day at all. Venus, our planet of attraction, she's transiting in that watery fixed yin sign of Scorpio, your fifth house. Unfortunately, Venus is in detriment because it's ruled by the planet Mars, and Mars is currently transiting in your first house in its full zodiac sign, being Cancer. Yet we've got the fifth house and the first house and a trine Cancer rising. So we've got Venus and Mars actually working together through mutual reception. So Venus transiting here will be useful in really deciphering what works and what doesn't connected to those fifth house topics. Are you dating the right person? Are you enjoying dating more? Do you feel intense connections with your intimate relationships? This could be the transit where you find out if you are committing or it's getting a little bit too jarry and sticky for you. That is not such a bad thing to identify what you love, what you're attracted to, and if it's working. And anything to do with the fifth house topics of children, sports, athletics, fame, creativity, investments, gambling, adrenaline activities. Venus here will have you loving all of those subjects when it's transiting in that fifth house. Traditionally, Venus is in her joy in the fifth house. So for you, Cancer rising, I would imagine you're not having a bad time at all. On the 8th of October, Venus is trining Mars and fall in your first house. So it's easier for you to enjoy life. It's easier for you to open yourself up to romance and taking a risk in the fifth house. Not too shabby at all, Cancer rising. On the 14th, Venus then opposes retrograde Uranus in your 11th. So possibly a partner is, I don't know, got the shits because you're enjoying going out with your friends or you're involved with group activities, for example. That's a simple example. But we've got Venus, the planet of attraction, opposing retrograde Uranus. So it's that push-pull between the houses really that are both connected to joy. They're very social houses. So Venus is opposed to Uranus retrograde being slow, not being risky, not being bold and having fun. So you could be trying your hardest. It's like pulling teeth to get people to get out of a funk or just feeling like they're slipping through your fingers. Where's my friends? Where's my allies? Where's my dreams? It just feels like a particularly tricky day on the 14th of October. On the 17th, Venus then leaves your fifth house of joy and pleasure, and she ingresses into the sixth house where we do all the heavy lifting. We get our hands dirty, we roll our sleeves up, and it's all about services to other people and getting back into our physical bodies and things that are habitual until November 11. Venus in the sixth in Sagittarius will have you, Cancer rising, potentially wanting to expand, look at new systems. So you could be wanting to change things up in the workplace, co-workers may be wanting to change things up, services that you utilize or services you provide. There could be some structural changes going on there, readapting, possibly even slowing down the travel aspect connected to the sixth house of your day-to-day. The subject of pets and sickness and illness and physical health is also highlighted, and Venus transiting here may help you come across just the right healer or chiropractor. You find the perfect pet in the rescue shelter, for example. But Venus in Sagittarius, we're talking about the zodiac sign that's ruled by Jupiter, which is currently retrograde in the sign of Gemini in its detriment, your 12th house. And that sixth house is opposed to that 12th house. So there's a push-pull of readapting, changing systems, getting more order, creating order out of chaos that may feel a little more time-consuming than you may like or be used to. So know that things may need a bit of changing. You may need to be a little bit more patient when it comes to Venus transiting in that sixth house, opposing that 12th house, where the ruler Jupiter is retrograding. You've got this, though. It's only until the 17th, from the 17th of October to November 11. Yes, Mars is in full in your first house, and Mars will not leave your first house, Cancer rising, until November 3rd when it ingresses into Leo, your second house. Stay tuned for that transit. My goodness. So Mars in Cancer. Well, let's talk about that in of itself and just taking you, if you don't mind, Cancer rising, out of the picture and explain Mars in Cancer. Trying to understand the depths, trying to understand things that are hidden, things that are concealed, secretive, the deep feelings, the deep emotions, memory, anything to do with protecting, being very hard to penetrate that shell of Cancer that Cancerians wear so well. And why do we do that? To provide safety so we do not expose ourselves. And Mars transiting in Cancer can really get the Cancerian waters bubbling. Why would that be happening? Quite simply because Mars wants to take action. Mars wants to just enjoy life. It doesn't really want to be stagnant. So in Cancer, it can feel like it's weighed down, if you will, by deep feelings and emotions that it really doesn't know how to navigate. And if there's anything that's been concealed or feels like the waters or feelings have been stubborn and stuck and turned to ice and cannot be melted or changed, Mars in the first in Cancer can be helpful. Why? Because Mars will give you energy and street smarts in developing new strategies on how to get out of emotional jarring funks. Things that have always been can now be cracked and give you freedom and open you up an expansion. You can start to experience Cancer rising, a change in your attitude, your physical body. People can see you as more boss vibes. Cancer rising's really got their shit going. That's how this can be really helpful. But to really process and understand Mars, you have to be open to be vulnerable so you are not paralyzed and stuck in old patterns of deep resentment, possibly hiding things from too long, keeping out of the limelight. You want to step in and integrate and enjoy life, enjoy your bliss like everyone else is entitled to as much as you are. Cancer rising. That's your astrological advice. On the 24th, Mars in sextiles retrograde Uranus and Taurus, your 11th house. So what's easier here, even though Mars is in full, is going back over old friendships, like old hurts, reconnecting with people that you've been disconnected from for some time. It's like the ambassadors and advocates get back on board and you can start to iron out any nuances that have been withheld or concealed. Not a bad day. On the 28th, Mars then trines a retrograde Neptune in your 9th. Fabulous. This is potentially getting the opportunity to travel, learn, expand, media and publishing opportunities. If you've been waiting to publish any works or connect with movers and shakers, this is the day to do it on the 28th of October. Then on the 31st, we have that waning moon in Scorpio in its full position, your 5th house, trining Mars. So we have a beautiful mutual reception going on here. Mars in Cancer, the moon sign. Yes, the moon's in full, but we've got it in a trine aspect, in a waning cycle on the 31st, which simply means, boy, you can go deep and enjoy life. This is the day to just enjoy being with your children, if you have any at all. Have deep conversations about the prospects of children in your future. Go on a date. Just enjoy yourself. Have some fun. Step into the light. Get creative. Really go deep and get into those feelings and emotions that are really important to you and express yourself with unbridled enthusiasm. Ha! It's a Seinfeld quote. I love it. Stay cosmic, Cancer rising. I'm signing off now. I trust you have a fabulous month. Yes, we're still in that eclipse frequency and vibration in the month of October. So expect some changes and fluctuations. You only need to know this, Cancer rising. You're the captain of your ship, and astrology is a fantastic tool to utilize, understanding transits, the houses that they're transiting, and aspects that planets are making to your ruling planet, being the moon. Very helpful, but we are so much more than our astrology charts. This is life, be in it. Ways to support your Cosmic Girl 101. Book a reading. The email is provided at the beginning of the video and in the description box below. Simple things like liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, hitting the bell notification to stay updated with videos that I release in regards to astrology conversations and the topic of astrology. These are small nuances that really can help the channel grow and reach other people that are also interested in astrology, such as yourself. Thanks for tuning in, Cancer Rising. I trust you have a fabulous month, and I'll catch you next time.